I worked to see Graham-Bum when it come to manufactured work shoes, and then there's jobbers of dress shoes. And at one time, about 1918, 19, their business run into the million, over $1 million sales. But soon after that, the older men begin to die, and nobody to run it. And of course, I wasn't in the company as a stockholder, and didn't have anything to do with the operation except what my work had to do, which was, of course, books and stuff like that. But they manufactured a fine, very first class grade of work shoes, and they're in Parkersburg.
Pioneer.
And then, of course, they jobbed the other shoes from factories over the country, and done quite a business. Then they had a branch in Dallas, Texas, and of course they'd ship their work shoes down to Dallas, and then they'd job out there. But it's a pretty big company when I started with, although they only paid me $50 a month to start with. Then we made our statements all by hand, all pen. All we had was a adding machine, the only machine we had in the office. It was one we'd peck in and pull the handle, peck and pull the handle. Well, we had probably 2,000 customers, and I had to do with the accounts receivable department, and other too, of course. And there's an old gentleman there that used to work for me. He was old, crippled up with arthritis. His hand was all crooked, and he had gold all over his teeth. Mr. Genvy, oh, he was a nice old fellow, and he'd come in every month and help us make statements. So we'd make a statement by hand, mail them out. Cost 2 cents then. And everything was by hand, bookwork, great big books opened up like that. And they had their books made in St. Louis. And cash books and journals and stuff like that. And so it come in time then, about 1918, I think, we got a bookkeeping machine. And of course, the accounts all had to be transferred from pen work to bookkeeping machine. Of course, I was the operator of the machine. So the fellow from Burr's Machine Company was coming back the next day or so and get us started on transferring these, show us how and so on. So in the meantime, while he was coming, I went to work and transferred the accounts all myself from pen to, of course, over here do it by machinery, you see, and that took care of that one, and then go to the next account, put on machine work, you see, sheets, ledger sheets, machine sheets, and then at some time, of course, before we got them all straightened out, run a adding machine tape to prove our work, and of course, then we could use the other machine, it's electric. Oh, we could just go flying on that thing, you know. And it was handy. Then we could prove our work as we went, and keep our books in balance all the time, see. Mm-hmm. But Mr. McGrew had a boy, and he sent him to Philadelphia to college, and he's a smart chap, and he'd send his clothes in by mail, and they had laundry here, then send them back. I don't know why, but that's the way they did. And his father, Mr. McGrew, would take his clothes to the post office, which had to pass right by where we worked, and take the post office to mail. And one morning, he's going right down on past the city building, down 5th Street, and there's a man that had a printing shop McLaughlin, and he had had paralysis and was crippled and couldn't hardly drive his car. He come down Market Street, turned out Fifth Street, lost control of his car, and run into Mr. McGrew and pinned him against the building, broke his legs. I don't know whether broke or one. And complications set in. They had a man here from Columbus. They didn't, of course, transportation then was very poor. You couldn't hop in a car and go over there like you can now. But they had the doctor, bone specialist, come from Columbus. But Mr. McGrew didn't last very long, and he was one of the main men. And then we lost, before that we'd lost a young fellow, Mr. Graham was another one of the main men. And then Mr. Graham died, and so they just began loose. And then somebody else, his son-in-law, tried to operate the business, but he didn't make any success at it. So I stayed with him for 28 years. In 1942, I went over to Ames Baldwin, Wyoming, they called it then. They would make shovels and picks and hay forks and farm tools. And I didn't lose any salary or anything. I worked for Graham Mumlin Company, and I was working then for $37.50 a week. That meant about $150 a month. So I go over to Ames and apply for a job, and they tell me, well, we'll call you if we have anything open. And so the very next morning, they called and told me, come over and go to work. Well, I did. I worked there 16 years and retired in 1958, November, and I worked bookwork there, and finally I wound up over there as, they called it a credit manager. I took care of all the incoming bills, approved the bills for shipping, and looked after collecting from the customers. And that was my job. I was making $400 a month when I left there in 1958. And I've been retired since then.